Welcome to August Deep Dive. This is where Ty and I look back at last month's Spotlight feature, introduce you to this month's Spotlight feature, and dive into a topic that gets to the heart of the journey behind the brand. Before we jump in, though, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected because here we share it all, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. To start off our discussion from today's Authentic Ambitions episode, I'm Starah Dixon, founder of Mitsu's, your destination for a statement decor that blends luxury with everyday living. We offer curated artisan crafted pieces for those who don't just follow trends, they set them. So pieces that make your home feel powerful, personal, and anything but ordinary. And on to you, Ty.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name's Tysheda. I am the founder of Luxury Travels by Dreamy Designer Events, where we curate elevated retreats worldwide and help founders and CEOs build conferences so they can really reconnect with their audience as well as their clientele. So, with that being said, before we jump into this month's theme, I wanted to give you guys a quick recap for last month in case you may have missed it. We did kick off our July with Roma. She is the founder of Earth Swag and the White Lotus. He showed us what it truly means to blend sustainability with style and how small different things, merchandise, different things that swag that you can really get can make an impact not only on your clients but also on our planet and health. Her passion for sustainability, her passion for what she does and her clients really show throughout her video, as well as when she talks about why she started it, as well as why it continues to motivate her to do what she currently does. Then we went into our bonus spotlight feature, which is Sharon, the powerhouse behind Impossible's Woman Empowerment Collective. Sharon's journey is all about creating spaces for women to be seen, heard, and fully supported. She reminded us that collaboration and community aren't just nice to haves, but they're non negotiables for growth. It's so important to have people who you can rely on, people who's either been where you are or trying to get where
Mhm.
you are, and you can really talk to them, touch base, and really try to make sure that you're not alone in this and that people are also going through the same struggles. You just have to know what puzzles need to go where and how to get there. And if you missed either of those, definitely check out the links below in the description. You definitely don't want to miss it and definitely catch some of the recaps. Star, what is your thoughts on them?
No, I loved having the conversations with them, especially because, for example, as you were just saying with Sharon, just going into the route of like networking and just like the importance of like sharing your story and knowing that anything is possible, especially if you have the right community around it. And I also loved when we were talking about Roma's business as well, because I feel, especially nowadays, is very important to really hone in on like what kind of packaging, what kind of message, and like just the whole idea of sustainability as a whole.
It's so important for our just earth and our
Yeah.
everyday living to think about the little things. Sometimes people are just like, oh, it's just something small. But if everyone is doing that little
Yep.
small gesture, it makes a difference, especially for the legacy that you're leaving behind.
Yeah, and what a better way to do that than through marketing materials and also just as you were saying, like every little small step matters and it is one of those things where maybe it is a little bit like hard to get everyone on board in the beginning, but like after some time we already know it's going to be,
Exactly. And
okay.
also too, it's one of those things where it's a gradual thing. So you'll get little bit by
Mhm.
little bit, but to have these things that, and technically a lot of them are things businesses already do in terms of
Already doing.
marketing,
Yeah.
whether it's pins or they do like little cups. They're things that people already do. Your only thing you're doing is doing it in a more sustainable way
Yep.
that you're giving these to your clients for whichever purpose anyway. You're just doing it to help the planet, but also be able to help the earth itself.
While we're at it, we may as well dive into this month's spotlight feature, Lori Granito, the founder of Legendary Life Coaching Limited. So, Lori's mission is to help entrepreneurs turn passion to profits, inspire millions, and build a life that they love. She's a two-time Entrepreneur of the Year award winner, as she's delivered 4 TEDx talks, coached TEDx speakers, and built 4 multi-million-dollar businesses, and amongst other things, but also raised over $10 million in capital. So her work has been featured on Forbes, Time, Essence, and more with TV appearances on CNBC, CNN, Bloomberg, and The Biggest Loser. Listen, there's a lot that she dives into, and she drops a lot of gems for both like current and, aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yes, and I am so excited, and
Yeah.
definitely it's one you don't want to miss. And when I tell you her story, her passion, and so much of what she has learned, and so much that she also teaches so many different
Yep.
entrepreneurs and founders that sometimes you're the one getting in your own way and certain things that you may not have known, but because she's been there and she's lived through it, you can completely skip it and go right to the stuff that you need to know. You don't want to miss it.
Mhm.
Not 1 minute of it. So, for this month, so excited. Our theme is one that every entrepreneur, no matter what stage you're in, really can relate to. We're
Mhm.
calling it Still Building Pivots, Projects, and Progress You Don't Post. Because here's the truth: entrepreneurship isn't just about big announcements, launches, or photo worthy wins. It's also about the quiet seasons, the behind the scenes pivots, the improvements that nobody really sees, and the projects you're working on while the world thinks you're resting is endless. In my own journey, I've learned that silent work is often the most powerful work.
Yep.
It's where clarity is built, systems are stronger, and ideals are reformed. So, with that being said, we're going to dive into it and truly kind of give our insights on it. And with that, I will start with all the different changes and things. And I feel like a lot of times people feel like when they're pivoting, either they're failing or they're doing something wrong. It's not that at all. Sometimes it's just that things may have to shift because of the work you're doing, because you're in a different season just within what you're doing. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. You have to have the passion behind it, and your work is something that really matters to you. So you want to make sure you're not just doing it just because it's something that you feel like you have to do or that you started here, but something else is calling your name. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to make those adjustments and just know how to do it in the right way. Start with your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially when because I do think that like people do associate pivoting with failure. And it's like, no, there are a multitude of reasons why you can pivot. Like whether it's market shift, whether it's like financial like needs basically, whether it's new opportunities, scalability. Like there are plenty of like reasons for doing it. And I think that especially when it comes to smaller businesses who are able to do this a lot quicker than bigger businesses, it's one of those things where the quicker you can actually like pivot or make any necessary adjustments, like the better it is for you.
Yeah.
So, for example, like some of the things can be even like with like feedback. Like let's say like you're seeing that, for example, like with Mitsu's, right? You could see like maybe certain products aren't actually like moving or doing as well as you thought that they would do. Okay, well now we're going to have to like make a little adjustment, and that can come in the form of, which also says some secrets. But anyway, like providing it as a free gift to like people, and you could just still collect reviews from that, or offer prices discounted, or bringing in new merchandise or new services that are actually more beneficial to whoever your audience is. So those
Yeah.
are a few things. And also one of the things that you did say is something that I am currently working on, and I'm always going to be forever working on because it's just me, which is the whole, I too am one who feels like a lot of my most meaningful work are on the back end. And we've had this conversation when it comes to social media plenty of times. So I'm not going to like beat a dead horse. But it is one of those things where I still need to get better at also being able to do some of these pivots in front of people, because like that's a great way to tell people your own story, your own journey, and just like do it authentically too. So,
Yeah, and I like that what you said because it's almost like the same boat because a lot of clients, even when talking with them, they don't even you have certain things that you're messaging or certain things that like tips and trips and things of that manner you're trying to get across, even when you're posting or different things that you're putting on social media. But sometimes the changes or sometimes just the headaches of itself of
mhm.
like, going through a crazy week and realizing that something you thought was going to be amazing. You're like, okay, I
Hmm.
had to shift it, and whatever I shifted it to was better than the original thought. Sometimes when talking to clients, they're just like, oh, I never know you went through that because you don't really, they don't
Right.
see any of it. They just,
Right.
they may see like a client saying, oh, this is great, or you're saying, oh, I'm so glad that, this opportunity came, but they don't really see how much behind the scenes work is really
Hmm.
there. And sometimes that itself almost give people that extra motivation. For people
Hmm.
who, I've had people who've never even met me before, it's like, oh my God, like I seen your work, and I'm like, where? And like on social media,
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, because I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
But like
Yes.
I was like on social media, I'm like, oh, okay. So again, it goes back to you never know who's watching, but
Hmm.
also at the same time, it's also one of those things where you know that no matter who you're seeing in any type of industry, that there is a lot more behind the scenes. And sometimes the stuff that's quiet is the most powerful stuff that
Ooh,
people
yeah.
have, that is out there, that's being worked on, that their clients are taking advantage on. And sometimes it's not always brought to social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's also because of being very busy
Yeah.
and not having the right time for it. But it doesn't mean that nothing's really
It's not being done.
happening.
Hmm.
And you also have to understand that everyone goes through different changes too. So it's okay if you see somebody else on this like rocket of like doing amazing, and you're like, okay, why am I still here and nothing seems to be happening? They probably were in that same boat. You may only be
Yep.
seeing one side of it. You're not
Yes.
seeing the side that's not posted. You're not seeing the side that they're not talking about.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you're looking and when you're really trying to see like what can I do to make my business better, or I feel like I'm having a change, but is it okay for me to have a change since I've been working on this for so long, and this is what people know, what my clients know, but it may not make you happy or may not bring happiness to you anymore. And if you're not passionate about it, you can't put that into the work you're giving your clients.
Mhm. And I also feel too, as you were saying about like doing the work on the back end too, I do think that one of the reasons why a lot of people don't post about like the hardships, as you were saying, is a lot of the times you are very busy. You're going through the day to day and you're going through the storm. So a lot of the times when you're going through the storm, you're just focusing on getting out or getting through, or even just like making sure that whatever change you're trying to implement actually like succeeds. So you do forget to like put it out.
Yeah.
I will say that I have been seeing a little trend in where we already know me and social media, but like I do feel like sometimes you do want to be careful with just how much of the struggle or the pivots you put out. Like so it's kind of like dancing that like little like fine dance, but I would say that I do see that there are nowadays like a lot of entrepreneurs who are more vocal about like, hey, it's not all glitz and glamour, because also I do feel that it goes down to your bottom line, where no matter if you're a retail business, a service-based business, like whatever type of business it is, like you still want customers. So in some ways you do feel like that obligation to tell people your journey, so that let's say like if there is a dry month for you, you can still garner like people by being like, hey guys, it's a dry month for me. Like please come and
Exactly.
purchase, or like like come to my business basically. So
Exactly. And I do agree with
use
that
that.
too, because even when telling, I mean, it's with social media. So no matter how you look at it, you take social media for what it is.
Yeah.
The one thing I never tell people to do on social media is to be fake on social media.
Yes. Oh,
That's the
yes.
last thing, because the
Yeah.
ideal of it now is, the bottom line is, nowadays people want that people to people connection. They
Yes.
want
In the day
that
of AI, yes.
they want the authenticity behind
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And people can read when you're either being fake, or you're not being your genuine self, or you're being one person on social media, and then they get on a consultation with you, and then they're just like, okay, why do I feel like it's two different people that I'm talking to?
Yeah.
So it's so important to be your genuine self,
Yeah.
and not try to be who you think people are trying
Yes.
to try not to be who you think people want you to be, and be who
Yeah.
you are, because your people will gravitate towards you.
Yep. Yep. And
That's
we'll
just literally the bottom line.
yeah. And as we were talking even before this, like, how, like, for me, especially as a consumer of like any other everything, I guess, like, I really do love like knowing like the stories of like brands. And well, we both do, but like, I just mean like, especially when it comes to like products that I like to purchase, I do like to know a little bit of like whatever it is that you're going through. And for example, one of the cool things that I've even found on TikTok, which is pretty much my only social media, is the fact that there are some founders, like I'm like, there are some founders who have like come out to be like, hey, like, I had to make a change, even if it's just like the type of like the amount of products that I'm selling. Like I remember one who is doing like glitter shadows, well, pigmented shadows, and she was just like talking about how the year prior was extremely hard for her. So that's why you haven't been able to see her, because she's been heads down, like making sure that whatever she comes out with is going to be 10 times bigger and better than whatever like she basically like had a prior. So it's one of those things where I don't know. I feel like it's cool that we've moved away from the curated, everything needs to be perfect, like side of things, and are getting more into the raw and real, especially as you were saying before, and in the day of AI. So
And I think it's that way also. Well, I think a lot has to do just with the change of the world itself, but I have a lot
yeah.
has to do with also with, with AI and with so many different animated things out there. People
Hmm.
want to know people want to work with people, and people want to
Yeah.
work with people who they trust and people who they like. And when I say like, I don't mean for you to change who you are to get people
Hmm.
to be, I mean for
Yeah.
you to be your
Yeah.
authentic self, and
Yeah.
then your people will find you. Because I know a lot of times, sometimes I will even get emails from like different companies that like I brought something for like small business, and sometimes they're just saying like their story of like the past 3 months.
Hmm.
They're still making sales and they're still working, but these are the changes that they had because life hit them or whatever. And it
Hmm.
just kind of helps you gravitate to feel like, okay, you may not know them, but this is a person who cares about their brand. They're
Hmm.
trying to connect with their audience. They're not
Hmm.
trying to put a show on there and say everything's perfect and they're saying, oh,
Right.
X, Y, and they're literally trying to be like, hey, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys. This is what's been going on, but definitely our team is here to help you. That's
Yeah.
like the most real and rawest thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. And like, even for example, within me for my business, it is one of those things where for me, I am like, I guess like pivoting in the way that I am presenting the business, because there is a piece of it where I'm kind of like, I want whatever way that I showcase Mitsu's to be something that is consistent, that I can do for a long time, even on the times wherever I don't want to be on social media, versus like having to constantly like think of something like immediately.
Yeah.
And two, even in the like marketing world, just as whenever you, for example, whenever you see campaigns, like those are usually like 2 years before whatever you see,
Oh,
you know?
all the time, all the time.
Yeah. So it's like it's taken a lot of time, effort, and execution for them to be like, okay, and now here is a smooth rollout, versus a lot of the times where I feel like we do. And of course, like that's normal, especially when you're a small business doing things by yourself, or like doing things with a very small team,
Yeah.
where you're trying to, like figure it out along the way. But, we'll get
Yeah.
there.
No, and no, but I agree with you. And there's two parts that I did want to touch on. The one is one thing that you did say in terms of you it's obviously in the beginning, as for a little bit of time in the beginning, whether either you just yourself or you have a small team, it's a lot more hands-on, obviously. But the
Hmm.
ideal of it is you're building a brand, so the brand can run even if you're not there
Right.
all the time, 24/7, because you built a team that you trust to run the brand, how it run it exactly in your vision. And that's really important too, because it helps to prevent burnout. It also helps to be able to disconnect so that you can connect and continue running a better brand. Versus if you're drained, you're not going to be performing, you're not going to be able to deliver to the clientele the same
Hmm.
way because you're tired, you're exhausted. You can't give that same energy. And the
Hmm.
second thing I wanted to mention was a lot of time, which is also something that I also am trying to gradually get out of that. But there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes within business, within clients that we don't always normally talk about. And we don't
Yeah.
always normally showcase on social media. And we work with clients and we have so many
Mm.
different things, but we don't put it out there. And then when people are like, oh my God, like, how can I do this? And I'm like, oh, we're just assuming like, okay, people just know it, but they don't. So that is
Yes.
something
Yeah.
that you're going to be seeing a lot more of as in the coming months, of all the different things that we do and that we can help clients with. But it's also one of those things where we get busy. Everyone gets busy. So
Mm.
sometimes it's not always as immediate. However, the ideal of it is we've realized that we reach so many different clients by just posting our authentic opinions and our authentic self online, and they gravitate regardless. And it's not about the likes, it's not about the followers, it's about the people who connect with you by emails, by DMs, all those people who want to be able to have your products, to want to go to your website, even when you don't even know who they are. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't ever see a like from them, but they be buying your products and using your services all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people are so busy with seeing what they visually can see versus actually say people who want to work with people who want to buy products, they will go. They will be on that website, they will be buying Mitsu, they will be using those services without having to like each of the posts because they know the quality behind it.
And also, one of the things too that I wanted to like touch on as far as like reasons to pivot is actually personal fulfillment. Like where you may have
Girl.
started something in one way where you thought it was going to go,
Yeah.
like one way. And then you just realize, like, yeah, it's not me. Like, I'm good on that one. Or, like, there is a better way for me to refine that. And especially in the world where you have competitors, and also a lot of the times when you're comparing like small business to other businesses, especially larger scale businesses or funded businesses, where you're kind of like, I have to pivot to catch up with the competitor, or I have to pivot to differentiate myself even further from my competition so
Mhm.
that I can really hone in on my sound, my voice, my business, and like the people that I really care and cherish about, so that, as you were saying in the beginning, so that my audience can always know that they can come to me versus me just like going with the times, going with the trends, not having any direction to go except I need $1. Like basically.
That part, yes. And also too, and I like that what you said too, because that really hit it there in terms of you are working your brand and your business in your eyes, not
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes. Just because one business does it this way, that don't mean you have to do what feels right for you. And a lot of times that little bit of difference, that little extra personal touch, that little extra customer service, the way you do it is
Mm-hmm.
what makes you
Ooh,
stand out, so
yes.
that people, it's not about, oh well, they do it, this company does it, so let me do it that way. If that's the case, they can go to the other company, they're getting the
Yeah.
same type of thing. The ideal of it is you want something that you're building that you're happy with. And if you have to pivot because it's not, that's okay, it's not
Mm-hmm.
wrong. It's
Mm-hmm.
just changing it so that it aligns with your current values and it aligns with your current mission. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes as you progress in business, what how you started off and where you may be in a few months or a few years, it's different. So you have to
Yeah,
almost
most times,
change
yep.
it so that
Yeah.
you're like, because you can't use the same vision you had there because
Yeah.
so much stuff has changed. You learned so much other stuff. You have to pivot so that it still aligns with you, but also so that you're still getting the clientele and delivering your message the way that you truly want it to be delivered.
No, 1,000%. And also, if you don't, as we touched on it before, like if you don't like learn to like make those adjustments and changes quickly, one of the things that are going to push you towards it is definitely going to be like financial necessity, like where it's like, wait a second,
Hello.
now I'm running myself into the ground, into the hole, and I'm
Mhm.
not even going where I want to be. And
Exactly.
also, even within pivots, it's okay to take pauses too within that.
And it's
We,
recommended too, because that's the only way for you
yeah,
to have that mental break. Because
yeah.
sometimes actually people who take the time to step away, like actually step away, there's been so many times I've just gone for like a walk and I've just gotten some fresh air and things of that manner when it's not crazy hot outside. I will put that. And gone outside for a walk when it's nice days.
Mm-hmm.
But just that alone and stepping away, your brain starts working like you never thought it
Mm-hmm.
before. Like instead of being in front of a computer 24/7, being on your phone, being on your tablet, being anywhere of technology, just stepping away to mentally clear your mind. But also it also starts filling up with all these things you didn't even know. Like you're like, oh my God, that's an idea, oh I could do this. And then by the time you come back, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I'm changing this whole entire game up. And a lot of times it's for the better.
And even when we look at pivoting, I feel like we can throw in to adjusting, especially for more service-based businesses, because I remembered I did have to do that like at different times where you realize that just as person to person, business to business, it's not always one size fits all, right? especially whenever you're going towards like more service-based businesses too. It's kind of like maybe you might tailor your proposal in a way where like you're kind of like, oh, I do have the bandwidth and I do have the team that can get and execute whatever that vision is. So like we might change out the proposal a little bit to like tailor you versus like what I originally had, which would have been like one system for everyone
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
can at least even be used as like your base starter
Yeah.
for wherever you're looking to,
Make sure
get
that
started.
it's something that's also like you can have a base start, but having something that's customizable. So sometimes
Yeah.
having if you have something that's just one set standard, what happens is you have someone who's like, well, I don't really need that. I need this or I need that. You have to make sure that you're also flexible with that because
Mhm.
it makes a difference, but also it makes sure that they know that what they need, you can handle it and that you
Mhm.
can do it. Because if they
Mhm.
talk to you and they're saying one thing, you give them a proposal that's like half of the stuff they don't need. They're like, okay, well, did they really
Yeah.
even listen to
Did you
me?
listen? Right. Yeah. Like I tell you A and you're giving me Z. Why are we doing this? Like we're clearly not a great match. And there you go. You lose money. Go back
That
to the
part.
financial necessity part of it. Like I feel like there's just like so many different ways that like pivoting can always go. And even for example, oh, this one is something too. Like it's kind of like I'm just like, oh wait. For example, even SEO wise, right? Like or like changing your web host or something like that. Like just the changes that you just would have to do in order to get yourself from like whatever point you started at and into like the next one best, especially whenever it comes to SEO and just knowing, oh, okay, maybe these keywords were not necessarily working for me. So now I'm going to, like place in words that are more optimized to get me the clients that I need to come to my store or to my service to
Yes.
hear about me. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is all about pivoting, finding ways to adapt, improve, and keep moving forward. So, what's a pivot or improvement you've made in your business thus far, and how has it helped shape your journey? If today's conversation sparked ideas or gave you a new perspective, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and tap the bell so you never miss a moment of radical confidence and real talk. Also, while you're here, like we said before, please drop a comment and let us know which other topics or founders you'd love for us to feature on Authentic Ambitions. And until next time, keep building, keep growing, and stay inspired. Bye.